Odysseus-The Epic Myth of the Hero, Book 7. The war was 10 years old, and Hector long since killed by merciless Achilles, spearing him before the eyes of all the Trojans, father, mother, wife, and child upon the walls, their hero begging in the dust for nothing more than honorable burial, his neck and throat cut gaping red. Achilles, hundreds slain by his strong hands, outraged when death had gall to visit him and his, spent his grief for friendship lost in further bloodshed, slaying all, never taking prisoners, avenging Patroclus without end or measure to his killing spree. Some war to win their heart's desires, while some war just to kill, and only halt upon their own raw death by sharp-edged tearing bronze. Our spies announced a famous warrior sought sanctuary behind the walls of Troy. It was the Amazon Penthesilea, for a killing, banished by her people, wanting now to fight against Achaean men. When battle came, Achilles sought her out and spoke these taunting words before they fought. "Bitch, you push your sex beyond its use to cross real men in war. In clawing cheeks and pulling hair with other hags, your equal may not walk the earth from whores to fishwives then. But here upon this hallowed ground, where men train all their youth to test their fated arms, you will be beaten like a man, then used as men use women. Piercings you shall find, bring pain, then pleasure. Gird yourself to sigh, then die by shaft and spear of son of Peleus, hot, war-loving Achilles." This said, and Penthesilea took off her helmet, letting long red hair tumble to her shoulders. Fearlessly she looked at Achilles in the eye and spoke these words: "We Amazons as well devote our youths to train for war. We fight because we know that strife is life's deep law, yet take no joy in slaughter only. Killing is required on earth this life. The heart that kills in rage is not the better fighter. Even lions, hunger slaked, permit the deer to pass unharmed. Glutton, killing more than need requires. Are you the only mortal ever lost a friend to war? Murderous baby, suck death at my sweet tit. You'll find my grace and speed a match to more vicious, overweening bronze this day. I'm Penthesilea, Otreres' girl." She donned her helmet, crimson horsehair plumes shaking terribly, and raised her spear and shield. Achilles laughed and let her come ahead at will. She gathered for a mighty cast and threw as if the north wind backed her throw. Achilles braced to take the spear upon his oxhide shield, and even flinched, anticipating puncture. The spear flew from her hand as if miscast. It made a lazy arc and struck in earth between the legs of murderous Achilles, slicing deep his left instep. Penthesilea spoke these words: "First blood, but you must be a darling of your gods, or else your foot were pierced and pinned. Now throw your bloody spear, I'll take you full upon my never-penetrated shield." Achilles roared in pain, shamed by Trojan taunts. His first and only wound in war was woman-made, and answered her in raging words, and sneered, "You missing piece, now bear the brunt of sheer force." He cast and sent his spear along with curses. Penthesilea took the blow upon her shield, just off dead center on the boss. The tearing bronze struck sparks on gold, deflected downward, sticking in her shield. She threw again and skipped her spear off of a stone. It flew directly at his groin. Achilles knelt and caught her spear on the lower rim of his shield. Penthesilea followed hard before he rose and threw a knife. It struck the helmet of Achilles right between the eyes and clattered to the ground, the point now bent. She tried to shake her shield free of the long spear Achilles planted there, and then he was upon her shield to shield. He knocked her down and grabbed his spear both hands and worked the awful blade completely through the layers till the tip was at her throat. By now his myrmidons had joined the fray and ringed him towering over Penthesilea to shield their king from Trojan darts and spears. Achilles leaned upon the blade until it pierced the skin, and blood ran down her throat in a rivulet. Penthesilea dropped her hands and faced her death with open eyes. Achilles threw the spear and shield away, and kneeling laid his sword across her throat, and spoke these taunting words of ceaseless hates. How glorious for you, this death at my strong hands! Your pride has pushed you from your proper place. A woman's chains should stretch no further from the bed than it takes to reach the kitchen fire. You've matched your strength with mine and found it wanting. Yield, and maybe you will live. Penthesilea removed her helmet, then and answered him in yielding words and said, Force has conquered skill this sorry day, and that is rightly what all men should mourn. I yield and call myself your suppliant. I beg you treat me with all honor due, a worthy foe. In all your strong encounters, killing hundreds, only I drew blood against you here. Priam will pay a kingly ransom for me. He only laughed and bid some henchmen hold her down. Two grabbed her wrists and dug their heels into her ears and armpits, arching back. Two others took her by the ankles then. Achilles beat and raped her while the army cheered him on. The Trojans could not break our wall of shields to get her back. She never closed her eyes nor cried out once, not even when he cut her throat. He rose and sheathed his bloody sword, and how the fighters hooted when he raised his arms in triumph there. Now that dog Thersites, always handy with a taunt or jibe, snuck up behind and gouged her staring eyes out with his spear. Achilles turned and saw the deed and flew into a rage. He struck Thersites hard upon the jaw and smashed the bone and sent 3 rotten teeth flying from his mouth. That ancient pesky gadfly, hated most of all the Achaean fighters by our kings, now crossed his eyes in death, and blood drained from his nose and ears, stretched out beside poor Penthesilea. The army stopped its cheering then, and clash of battles sounded far away. One soldier booed, and this set off the rest. Achilles reveled in their scorn, or so he tried to show. The world now mirrored all the hate that filled his anguished heart. His killing now included his own kind, the least perhaps in leading eyes, but hideous Thersites always spoke the scorn that common fighters held in heart, but feared to say aloud. He often claimed he did not have a thing to lose but life itself, and only feared the lies of kings. Achilles now put on his fabled war gear, striding out between the gathered armies, roaring like a famished lion there. He challenged any Trojan willing to meet him one-on-one. The common ranks retreated, shrinking back like broken waves. Now Paris, thief of love, fit a poison arrow to his bow, and safe behind a wall of shields, let fly at murderous Achilles. The coward's aim was true as his heart was false. The arrow struck into the heel of exactly where his mother Thetis held him, and she dipped Achilles in the river Styx to render him invulnerable. Poison hit his blood and raced throughout his body to his heart. The mightiest man killer of them all clutched his chest, and foaming at the mouth, now dropped stone death upon his chin to Mother Earth. The Trojans cheered and wept real tears of false relief. Achaean fighters gnashed their teeth in disbelief, some sinking to their knees in fear at what would happen next.